Yeah. Hi everyone. So this is Rajesh. I think most of you guys know me. For those who don't know me, I am currently working as an Android developer, and I having 4 years of experience. So we had conducted three sessions as of now. One was for publishing library to Maven Central, and two was for the Jetpack Compose. So in this session, we are going to continue from where we left for the Jetpack Compose, and we are going to build a simple WhatsApp application clone in the Jetpack Compose. Okay, so in this session, we are going to mostly focus on the UI part and not on the other layers like repository and networking. Okay, so let me share my screen. Of course, yeah, my screen is visible to everyone, right?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So last time we discussed basic layouts like rows and columns and other components like top and bars, bottom navigation, floating action buttons, and we also had a look at the lazy layouts like lazy columns, lazy rows, and lazy grids, either horizontal or vertical. Okay, so in this session, we are going to have a look at the uh, how to build a simple WhatsApp clone in the Compose. So before jumping into that, you want me to cover the side effect in the Compose, or are everyone is familiar with the side effect?
भैया यार और एक बार बोल ही दीजिए यार.
Rajesh, what is the side effect you are talking about? What is the exact side effect?
Yeah. So okay. So I think I believe some people are not familiar with the side effects in the Compose. Okay. So side effect are the effects that that occurs and you when your recompositions occur. Okay, so in the last session we had explained all the things about composition and recomposition and when it occurs. Okay, so recomposition could occur at any time. So let's say if you are running an animation, recomposition could possibly occur at every frame of your animation. So and to handle your data states in the recomposition, you have to use the remember block for storing your data. Okay, and uh, just give me a minute because I want to focus on these things mainly. So yeah, basically side effects is a change to the state of the app that happens outside the scope of the composable function. So let's say compose okay, so let's say you have this composable functions. Okay, so and everything is here is emitting UI. Okay, so let's say you want to do something which is related to non UI part. Okay, so let's say for example uh, you want to fetch some datas as soon as this composition occur into the composition tree. So how would you do that? That's way you can use the side effects. Okay, so side effects are basically when you want to perform some non-UI related operations when UI is in scope. Okay, so there are multiple versions of the side effects having its own advantages. So one side effect is itself called the side effect. Okay, so what it does is whatever you write inside this block, it will be calculated every time the recomposition occur. Okay, so let's say you have a one variable here, uh, uh, test equal to 0, and you are assigning test equal to 1. So whenever the recomposition occur, however the times, just give me a minute.
Rajesh, just interrupting once.
Okay.
So, what is exactly means? What is side effect? Means what does it do? Just can you explain in one or two lines?
Yeah. So what side effect do is, with the side effects, you can perform the code that is not related to UI. Okay.
Okay, okay. So it's like a thread spawning kind of thing, right? Thread or coroutine kind of thing.
No, no. It's not a basically it's not a kind of a thread, because in a thread we are like running multiple you know what to say. In the threads we are spawning the multiple threads, right? But the side effects
Hmm.
is like let's say, okay, so here if you have to do like this, okay, so this will impact your performance, okay, because this things is running every time your recomposition run. So compose
Okay,
provides a way to run your calculations inside the side effects. Okay, so this is basically your calculations that is not related to UI. Okay.
okay, okay. Thanks.
Uh,
Yeah.
I have one question. So
Yeah.
how many times the side effect get called? Like, so every time the recomposition occurs, right?
Yeah, it depends on the type of the side effect. These side effects block will be called every time the recomposition occur. Okay, so
Okay, got it.
similarly, we have another side effect called launch effect. Okay, so in the launch effect block, you could provide your key. Okay, so let's say you have a well user. Uh, I'm just uh, using it for testing name. Okay, so in the launch effect, this is another side effect. Okay, so where do we use it? In the launch effect only run the calculation when the key is changed. So let's say I'm providing key as a user, and running test equal to, I'm assigning it to again to 100. So what happens is, even though the recomposition occur, this code won't be called. See, because UI is the this let's say uh, this key is not changing. Okay, let's say, okay, let me create a concrete example. Remember name. Okay, so this is a mutable state as well as the inside the remember block. So even though the recomposition occur, this key is not gonna be changed, so this effect won't be called. This effect will only be called when when we change these things. Say, let's say for example, we have a button. Okay, and inside the on click parameter, and inside the on click functions, we are changing the user to test. Okay. Okay, so here we are changing the user key. Okay, and user key is associated with this launch event. So when this key will be changed, only then these things will be called. Okay, so this is it's like you got the point, right? It's when you want to perform some non-related UI that is not related to UI. Okay, this is another type of the side effect. Okay, and the next one is disposable effect. Okay, here again you have the keys uh, and the block, and it also provides the on dispose block. Okay, so why this is useful, and okay, so what is the difference between all these side effects? So basically This block of side effect is used when you want to perform some calculation that runs with the every decomposition of your composable. Okay, launch effect you use when you want to perform some operation only when the specified key is changed. Okay, in this example, when the user change, we will run this code. Okay, and let's say you want to and one most important use case for this launch effect is, let's say you want to do something when this recomposition when this composable enters into the composable tree. That is, let's say you have one composable for entire screen, and when you want to do something when user first enter that screen, so you can use the unit. Okay, so unit, it's like it will run one time, so it will only run one time, and even after the multiple recomposition it won't run, it will only run for the single time. Okay, and we will see these uses when we practically implement on these things. Okay, and the disposable effect. So disposable effect could be used when we want to dispose something when the components leave the composable. So let's say, for example, in traditional UI, let's say we are implementing a video player. Okay, exo player. So in exo player, what we do is when we leave the view, we close the player. Okay, so to it's basically like a try, catch, and finally. So what we do in finally block, that must be performed. Okay, so the contents of the finally block should be inside the on dispose. So like, let's say player dot close. Okay, this functionality is not provided by either launch effect or side effect, so you need to use the disposable effect. When we want to perform something when we leave the composition. Okay, so it's all about the side effects. Okay, so any questions till now? I think you can really go and have a look here, and you can ask the questions if you have, because my main motive was building these things. Okay, because otherwise the session won't be one session won't be enough to build the things.
Yes, please continue. You are going good. If
Yeah.
if it's any doubt, I'll ask you. Just I'll disturb you once.
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, you can just raise your questions. Okay, so let's keep this session interactive. Okay, so let's go with building a WhatsApp clone. I need to get the basic UI. This seems good. Okay, so this is the type of the UR that we are going to build. Uh, as you can notice, the first one is the top bar, and it has two icons, and next we have some tabs. Okay, so can based on the our last interaction, can anyone tell me where do we start, building these things?
Inside the scaffold block or
Uh,
not? Uh,
yes, correct, correct. Inside the scaffold block, okay, because we want to use this material structure of top bar and floating buttons. Okay, floating buttons is not shown here, but in the actual WhatsApp, we have it at the bottom end. Okay, so let's start with building. Okay, and one thing, uh, uh, okay, so I believe we won't be able to complete these things in the one session. So what we will do is we will build the things whatever we can, and then we can push it to github, then we will continue uh, in the next session from where we left. Okay, so let's say this is the setup I have done. This is the it's basically based on the hilt. Okay, so I'm not going to cover the setup. Let's focus on the main part. Okay, so this is the home screen. Okay, so let's start with the scaffold. Okay, and then we will do the fall, and so as you can see, we have a top bar here, okay, having a text and two icons. So let's build that top bar as a component. Up, top bar, top, tab bar. Anyway, it's going to appear next week, but let me specify. Okay, so here we are writing two rows. Okay, so this is a GIF. Let me get the static image. Okay, this is fine. Here is our text WhatsApp, and these are the two icons. Okay, so inside the top bar, count this as a row. Okay, this as a whole is a row. Okay, so what we do is we need to write the text, and text would be WhatsApp, and let's make it bold. So font weight equal to bold. So next is the icon. Okay, icon button. Now let's see the a preview of it. Okay, okay. So we did the uh, top app bar for the WhatsApp, and let's see if it works correctly. Okay. So based on this code, do you think it will work like this? Okay. So do anyone has idea of why whether it will work like this or not?
ये थोड़ा सा इसमें गैप नहीं आएगा मतलब कंटेंट चिपके चिपके हैं।
Yeah, it will need a spacer or something. Yeah.
Mhm. Right, right. Content will be clapped together. Okay. So what we need to do is uh, explain. Okay. So like even if we uh, use the horizontal and vertical alignment, things won't be in a proper alignment. Okay, because let's say if we use a space between, so what will happen? Uh, okay, let's say this is our top bar. Okay, So, and even if you use the space between, the three things will be placed like this. Okay, we having the equal space. Okay, and this is not what we want, because we have a name here and on the left side, and these two things on the right side. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, what Swapnil is saying, I fill max with 0.6f. I did it with this, gave this modifier to the text. Okay, fill max with 0.6. Okay, uh, 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 from okay, to whom we need to provide this max with Swapnil? You have
ये टेक्स्ट वाले मॉडिफायर को दिया था, टेक्स्ट वाले के मॉडिफायर को
okay,
दिया था।
okay, okay. Text वाले modifier को दिया था to fill the uh, 0.6. Okay, so till this. Okay, and even if you consider that as an example, let's say text example is taking 0.6. Okay, so the next row will start from here. Okay, so icons will be on this side. Icons will be on this side, like this. Okay, so this is definitely not we want. Okay, and even if you align these icons to the end of the things like this will appear as what we want, but that's actually not what we want, because see, this row is expanding like this. So the ideal solution what we want to do is, we want to place two buttons here, and for the remaining space, anything, we want a single row to cover the text. Okay, uh, okay, so what we should do is, uh, we will write another we will take two rows. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so two rows, write the text here, another row, sorry, like this, and we want this row to take the whole space, except the space that is remaining after placing these rows. So what we do is, let's modify it once. Okay, so what we do is modifier dot weight. There is a one property called a weight. We want to assign it to 1f. Okay. So what it will do is, this property will do is, it will first place this child, and whatever the space remaining after placing this child, it will take the whole space uh, for these components. Okay, so now this will appear as what we want. Okay, so let's see the preview. uh, Top app bar has actions for the icons. Yes, you can like uh, background colors, contents, and permissions. Okay, so yeah, it has actions for the icons for this definition. Okay, but I wanted to explain the use of the weight modifier. You can either use like this, or you can use the another definition that top paper provides, like this. Okay, so in this case, we are providing the content ourselves. Okay, we are not using a separate elements. So in this case, we are providing the contents ourselves. But if you want to use another top up bar, so you need to provide items differently. Let's say title or navigation icon and actions. Okay, so in this case, we are using the things ourselves. Okay, so let's to align the vertical alignment, straight alignment. Okay, so this should do the task, creating the uh, top bar. Okay, so let's include this tab bar here. Top bar are equal to what's the top bar. Okay, okay, so this is what we want, and we can apply some uh, we can apply some space here if we want, like this. Let's say this icon is this text is uh, there could be many ways to implement the same thing, either in Compose or XML. So you could implement a same thing differently. Okay, so let's and now let's create a scaffold button. Okay, so we have created the top bar. Okay, now let's first create chatting screen like this one. This screen, okay, chat status and calls. Okay, so if you notice, all these things are the tabs. Okay, so these are the tabs. And in Compose, anyone knows what solutions we have for the tabs?
I guess we can use tab row.
Yeah, correct. We can use the tab row. So okay, so this text is having the uh, padding with the start at the 8 dp. Okay, so this is the thing what we want. So color, for the colors you can use any colors. Okay, for this demo we are going with the default colors, but definitely you can change it to green one. So let's say this is our top bar. Okay, now we want to build a composable for the main uh, content screen. So this is going to be our the main content screen, having these tabs. Okay, so for this we need let's first define four tabs. Okay, except this camera as of now. So the tabs are chats, status, and calls. Okay, so inside the utility, let me create a class, enum class tabs. So the things are chats, status, and calls. Okay, so we have three tabs: chats, status, and calls. So and so let's try to build the tab row. Okay. Inside the tab row, we need to provide the selected tab. Okay. So what would be the our selected tab? Our selected tab would be the first tab, that is the chat tab. Okay. So by default, it would be selected. Okay. So let's use a well selected tab index. I remember. x dot ordinal. Okay, so it will provide the as zero value. Okay, so because it's the first thing. Okay, so we will use that as a selected tab index. And what else properties we need? See, modifier equal to modifier dot background. Okay, so background color is primary surface, so let's keep it for now. Indicator, divider, we don't, okay, so let's say we don't need any divider for these tabs. Divider will be like this. Okay, and inside, now, okay, so this is a tab row. Okay, so basically this is a structure for these things. Now we need to place the actual values for these tabs. So what we will do is tabs dot values dot for it. Now we need to use the actual tab. Okay, so selected equal to first of all, we need to write the text here. Okay, we need to write the text. Okay, so it's the text field, it dot name. Let me clear it. It dot name. Okay, so and this is a condition whether tab is selected or not. So what we will do is we will do a comparison here. Selected tabs equal to tabs dot sorry, tab dot ordinal. Okay, and on click, uh, do the same thing. So you got the idea, right? Or okay, let me explain it again. Tab dot ordinal क्या है? Okay, so ordinal is basically the numeric value associated with the UN, enum. Sorry, so you can go by this value, enum ordinal value. Okay, so it returns the ordinal of this enumeration constant, and assign where the initial constant is assigned an ordinal of 0. Okay, so enum has two properties, ordinal and name. So ordinal for this is 0, for this is 1, and for this is 2. Okay, so basically we are using this ordinal as an index.
Ordinal is the value, right?
uh,
Uh,
yes,
yes.
ordinal,
Ordinal.
ordinal is a value
Ordinal is a
associated with
value
the
associated to
with
the
this enum value.
with the same of them.
Okay, okay, so what we are doing here is we are using a okay, let me provide a preview and then I can explain it better. Okay, let's see the preview. So we are first remembering a variable. So let's say we don't want it to lose what tab was selected when the recomposition occurs. So we are wrapping it inside the remember block. And what is the first tab that we are selecting? It's a chat tab. Okay, as you can see here, the chat tab is selected. Okay, so we are using its value as the first tab. Okay, okay, so here we have the preview. Okay, and a tab row is this row. Okay, tab row is this row that you can see here. Inside the tab row, selected tab indexes, we are providing the selected tab index as what we got from this remember block. the next thing, okay, the divider is the divider between the tabs that we don't want. Okay, you can provide the divider here if you want. It's possible. So now what we do is we have this row. So we are going to use our data to populate the value inside these tabs. Okay, so we have this tabs class. So we are basically iterating over its value using the for each, and for each value, that is chat, status, and calls, we are using a tab composable. It's basically the composable given by the compose. Okay, it's a so we are using the tab composable, this like this one. Okay, this and this, and here we are providing two things: if whether tab is selected or not, and what to do if the when the user click on it and select it. Okay, and if and inside its content we are giving the tab name as a text. Okay, so this is the chat, status, and calls. Okay, so let's modifier equal to dot height, height. So this is clear for everyone. Tab rows and tabs and uh, uh, top tab bar. Okay. Or any questions on this? Okay. So I guess no questions. Okay. If you have any questions, you can just ask me. Okay. So now we have two things on our hand. The one is the top tab bar, and the second one is uh, tab rows. Okay. Give me a time. My ID is little slow. Okay, so we have top tab rows with the height of the 16 dp. Okay, so now it looks good. Okay, chat, status, and calls. These are the all things. Okay, so now we need to populate the content. Okay, so now for the chat tab we need to populate this content. For the status and calls we have another content. Okay, so how would we do is, let's say as right now we are not concerned with the selecting tabs. Okay, right now let's just build this UI, and then we will connect it with these tabs. Okay, so let's build the chat UI first. Okay, so uh, let's build a composable for the chat UI, and we are using the static uh, values. Okay, let's create a uh, let's first create a helper class that will provide the value. Data class chat item. Okay, and what properties should we include for the chat item? See, I'm referring to this item. Okay, so what properties should we include inside this? Can anyone answer?
नेम हो गया,
Yeah,
लास्ट मैसेज,
correct. The name, last message, profile URL, and the
प्रोफाइल यूआरएल, टाइम.
yes, time. Okay. And I request everyone to please speak, huh? Because otherwise, like as I've said earlier, it will become a boring. Okay, so let's not keep it boring, and better to keep it interactive. Okay, so for the chat item, we will need four items. The first one is profile URL, name, uh, last message, and the time. Okay, so let's go by the name first. Name, last message, profile URL, time. Let's keep it a string for now. Okay, so this is the chat item, and provide well chat items. Let's provide some default uh, values. So, let's see if I can get the email's URL. No direct URL. We got the icon of it. Okay. Let's keep it as a profile URL and time as a uh, 10:30 p.m. Okay, so now let me have to click at these things. Okay, so we have the chat items. Okay, so we have the chat items ready. Okay, so let's build the chat UI first. Uh, like this. Okay, so here is the icon, here is the name, a last message, and a time. Okay, so what components will we use for these rows? Can we have a answer on this? What components will we use to build this thing? Hello. ए बाप बारણું ખેંચી લ્યો તો
Lazy cow.
uh, yeah, we will no we will we won't be using the lazy row because this is we will actually use the lazy column. Okay, but to just build this item we will use a row. Okay, so let's build the chat item first. Okay, so let's build the chat item. It will accept the chat item. Okay, so let's build this with the row. Okay, so the row basically we are building the row and we have one image view. Okay, so let's build the I'm using the coil library, so it provides the async image composable to load the images from the either from the network or from the local resource. Okay, so let's use the model as chat icon dot uh, profile URL. Okay, content description is null, and modifier equal to modifier. We are using the circular shape image. Okay, so let's use modifier dot click circle shape. We want to apply the same transformation on the actual image itself. Okay, so for that we will do the transformation dot transform circle crop. Let's leave it for now. Content scale, it's a feed, so let's use the content scale dot crop. Okay, content scale, this is our UI image UI. Okay, and next one is the uh, 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 two names inside the. Okay, so this is the one components of the row. Consider it as like this. Okay, so this is the row, this is our image. Okay, and other components are three text views. So I would be consider this, uh, either we can consider like uh, two text in a column, and another text uh, as another components of the row, like this. So what we can do is column is the text, get item dot name, and this item dot last message. Okay, and the third components as a text, um, item dot time. Okay, it should provide the UI. Okay, so let's see in the preview if it works. Let's say set item. Let's see preview works. Okay, so we want to build a UI chat UI like this. Yeah, and we forgot to provide the icons size to image. Okay, we need to provide the icon size to this image. Okay, otherwise it will uh, take the bigger space based on the image size. So let's provide the icon size as well. Modifier dot size to 100 dot and then click. So this should work now. Rows, columns, and the mm, uh, okay. And other way to look at this image is consider this as a entire row. Sorry, this as a column having a one row like this, and having the another row like this. Okay, so let's say let's that would be a good way to build it. Okay, so this is uh, okay, yeah, this is this looks good. Okay, like this. So let's build it like this way. uh, one rows and then the other rows. Okay, so kind of like this basically. A column of two rows. Makes sense, right? Which is the type of the UI that we are going to achieve. Okay, so this chat items UI is clear for everyone, or do we need more explanation?
Uh, the async image part, can
Hmm.
you just summarize once more? Async image.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say in Compose we have this image composable. Okay, to load the image. Okay. So similarly, I have used one library that is called coil. io.coil.coil compose. Okay, it provides us a composable to load the images either from the network or from the local resource. Okay, so let's say for example, this profile URL is a network resource. Okay, so if I use the async image composable, I don't need to tell this to fetch the image. It will automatically fetch the image whether it's from network or from the local. Okay, so it will internally decide the path of the image and it will fetch accordingly. So that's why I have used the async image. That's the composable provided by the coil. Similarly, if you want to use a composable provided by the compose, you have the image. Okay, but loading the image from the network is, I think, by default not supported from the for the default composable. So that's why we have used the async image. Okay, so this
Yeah,
is
Rajesh.
yeah.
So that the compose tablet will be by default scrollable or it will be fixed.
Sorry.
So in compose tablet will by default will be scrollable, be fixed.
Okay, so
Any problem?
okay, so tab layout scrollable, whether in terms like if you click on any of these items, it will be like that screen will be visible. But if you are talking about the pager like layout that we want to scroll from the content of the things, like let's say this is your content, and let's say if you are talking about like this, you want to scroll from this and this, then by default it's not supported. Okay, so you have
Suppose
to.
sorry, I have six items, right? So currently we have only three. So I have six items. So
Okay,
six item will be getting screen. So it
okay, no, no, no,
automatically
okay, 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 got it, yeah, yeah, that type of scrollable is supported. Okay, so no issue, it's by default supported.
understand.
Okay, so
So
yes.
no any like separate property like so you like it's scrollable or like correct? It will be
Yes,
automatically okay.
yes, it will be automatically scrollable. You don't have to specify any properties. Okay, so
Understood.
yeah, sure, welcome. So first of all, let's to design these things. Let's keep some paddings here. So for the main UI chat item uh, modifier, also it's called modifier from here. Modifier equal to modifier. So Here dot padding. Let's use the 8 dp of padding. So now it will looks good. Okay, 8 dp of the padding, and let's use image item as a 15 dp. Image item as a 15 dp, and let's apply this. Okay, let's make this name a bold one. Okay, so font weight, font weight dot bold, and now this text is this is yeah. Let's apply some colors here. Okay, so color equal to gray. Let's use the gray color. Okay, so we have these things ready. Not perfectly, but we have these things ready. Okay, so let's build this whole UI. Okay, so for these are the crawlable items. Okay, so what layout will we use for these things? Any suggestion, like to build this all these things, what type of layout will we use?
Basic.
Yeah, correct. So lazy column is correct, because because basically if you were building these things in an XML view, you were using the recycler view, right? Because this is flexible and performant. So in Compose we have a alternative of a recycler view as a lazy layout, and as this is type of column layout, we are going to use the lazy columns. Okay, so for the chat UI, uh, choose the lazy column. Lazy column. And all these things are the items. So let's use. I think most of you are familiar with the lazy columns, as I have explained it in the last session. So I'm not explaining it again. I'm just going with the code. Okay, and so now let's see what are the items. It's just chat items. Chat items. Now let's populate the simple chat item. So now this chat UI is completed. Okay, chat UI is completed, but now we need to associated this chat UI. We have created this chat UI with this chat tab. Okay, so what we will do is in the main thing. See where the error is. So where do we have this main content screen here? Okay, so here we will, what we will do is we will use a when of the Kotlin. Okay, so In this block we will decide what to show based on the tab index. Okay, so when uh, selected tab index is let's say tabs dot chats dot ordinal. Okay, so when the chat screen tab will be selected, we will show the chat UI. Okay, so similarly for other things, uh, for calls and status, we are not emitting anything as of now. Okay, and let's see calls. Okay. Okay, so we have the main content. This things is ready. Main content is ready. Okay, so now let's uh, simply copy paste the main content composable here, and inside the home screen. I will come to this part later. Okay, navigation thing. Let's first see if our UI works. Okay, so we have created the main screen. It contains a scaffold having the top bar. We have defined our custom top bar by defining all the content, and inside the column we have our main content, that is these things, tab rows and the lazy column. Okay, so inside the main screen we have remember the selected tab index to change it later inside the on click function. Okay, we have used the tab rows to provide a container to place our tabs. Then we have iterated over these tabs enum class to actually show the tabs by the name, and here we have used the when to emit the UI when the specific tab is selected. Let's say for example chat tab, it will emit the chat UI. Okay, and inside the chat UI we have used the lazy columns for building this list of the chats. Okay, and for the single items we have created this function called a single chat item. It contains a rows, one image composable called async image to load the network from image from the network, one column, and it contains multiple rows composable. Okay, to build the UI like this. Okay, so uh, it makes sense for everyone, right? Any questions on this?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Great. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can just ask me, or if you have any alternatives, you can tell me. Huh? If you have any alternatives, you can just tell me, and we will try to build according to that. Let's say if I am making any mistakes while building things, you can just let me know, because see, nobody is perfect. Even I could be making the mistakes, and my code would fail. Okay, so this is for these things, for these sessions we are only going to focus on building the UI. Okay, we are not doing anything like how to handling the on click things or state hosting. Maybe you have heard of the thing state hosting and all the things, but we are not doing for this session. We will focus on that later. As of this session we are just building the UI, that is what is visible to the user. For the operations in the compose world, it's called events. We will focus on the future sessions. Okay, so meanwhile this emulator starts up, let me explain the uh, structure of this project. This is I use in the all the projects. Okay, so here we have a main activity that like extend the component activity. In the set content block we have this WhatsApp clone app composable. Okay, So what this composable do is it wraps our content inside our theme. Okay, this is basics. Okay, so even if you start a new project from the Android Studio, you will get this theme, and inside this you will find the greetings. Okay, so now the thing is, I'm using the navigation. Okay, so let's say if you are just emitting the UI, navigation is of not important. But here, when building the real world projects, we need a navigation. Let's say user click on this plus button. Okay, so it should open another screen, right? So okay, so I think you have everyone have worked with the navigation, Jetpack navigation, right? I'm not talking about the Compose navigation, but at least with the Jetpack navigation.
Yes. Jetpack navigation I've worked, like nav graph and all those
Yes, correct,
nav
correct.
host. Yes.
Yes. So uh, that artifact itself provide a Compose navigation artifact. So in the okay, so in the Compose navigation, we have one nav host. Okay, so as you are defining the nav graph in the Compose world, we have this nav host, the text modifier if you want to provide a nav controller that will navigate to other screen, and the start destination. Okay, so for the destination, I have created this sealed class called screens. So any screens, whether be it a main screen, setting screen, new message screen, that we will define here. Okay, so I have created the a main one object called home. Okay, because as of now, actually this is the template that I have pushed here. If you want to start a new Compose project, you can basically use this template. It has all the setups. Let me show you the template. Okay, so you can clone this project and you will get the all the things created for you. Okay, using the heat, retrofit, moshi, coil, and flower. Okay, so this is the template. Okay, so here we have a assumption is that we have only one screen called home. Okay, so you could add your things here. Okay, and this is a helper function to pass the arguments when calling this navigating to these screens. Okay, so we have nav host. Inside we have this composable called composable. Sorry, this function called composable, and then we need to use the same amount of the composable, that is the number of the screens. Okay, so okay, so for the every screen you need to use the composable. Okay, and inside this composable you need to call your main screen. Okay, and so now we have our UI, but which is not according to the expectation, right? Correct. Okay, so let's see what could be the issue. So you identify what the issue here is. This is the code, okay, in front of you. And can you tell me why it's behaving like this by looking at the code? Okay. So any idea? We have this tab rows, tabs. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so this is a tab row. Uh, let's wrap inside the column. Let's do this if it works. Okay. we have kept all both of these things in the tab row. Okay, so let's see if it works. Am I audible, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, Basically, the issue with the laptop is I have only have one slot for the RAM, so I cannot extend anything up to the 8 GB. I tried to use the 16 GB, but I only have one slot for the RAM, so that's why I need to stay with the 8 GB.
You have to get one 16 GB RAM for that slot. But it depends on the capacity that your laptop supports. That is also there.
Yes, right, right. Yeah, in the past I tried to get the 16 GB, but somewhat I was not able to get the 16 GB. Uh,
Only Android developers know the price of RAM and graphics card.
right, right.
It's in the development project.
Correct, correct. Because this is Android development. Because even on the 8 GB, this seems really slow, and even if you are if you are using the hard disk, then uh, no future for you, because even on the SSD, it's working like this much of slow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In the past, i was I was building one project on the hard disk. I didn't have the SSD at that time, and so can you believe the Gradle took 29 minutes to build a project, a single project. I was using the hard disk. It's that much of slow.
Yeah, my office still there are two machines where hard disk is there. So
Mm.
we're considering to upgrade it as soon as possible.
Right, right. It's a nightmare to build with the hard disk and low RAM for the Android developers. Even the IntelliJ idea is not taking this much of RAM.
Yeah, yeah. 26 was, and it is
No,
very surprising.
actually, the issue is with the Gradle because the Gradle
Why
is completely
Android
dependent on
people cannot
single core performance.
optimize it.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, Gradle is like previous Gradle versions. They are dependent on single core performance, right? So even if you have a very good laptop, but the companies we work in, they use Gradle 6.2 or something, right? So when that happens, you are limited by the single core performance of your this one. So your read write speed kind of factors in a lot. Right? Like if your read write speed is low, it's finished basically. So yeah.
Right, right. Okay. So, anybody is using 16 GB of RAM, and how is your experience building with the studio?
Good, good, good. It's very good. Like, I,
बढ़िया हो यार.
yeah, yeah. In my company, even MacBook is good. Like, it's working very smooth.
Mhm. Great.
And then after that, like, I also shared something. Like, I changed my this Android Studio to ARM compatible and as well as JDK to ARM compatible. So it kind of came down to like 1 minute or something.
Right, right. You did a post on a LinkedIn
Yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah,
Mac,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Right.
To use the
Narendra,
ARM 64.
Narendranath, how does integrating ARM compatible modules help us?
So
Why
actually,
is it
what
more
happens is,
useful?
yeah, because when you're using a JDK, Mac uses something called a Rosetta to kind of create a virtual. I don't know much about it, but it is a Rosetta VM inside, and inside that Rosetta VM, it's actually kind of does it uses it for processing. But when you use an ARM compatible JDK, it kind of uses it directly. So I'm not very well versed in it, but I just
Okay,
saw
okay.
Okay.
what I saw. Like
Yeah,
this.
okay, okay. So, yeah, I have some information on that. So basically, when Apple was building a Macs prior to the M1 without the M1 chip, what they were doing is they were directly using the Intel processors. Okay, so they were using the x86 architecture. So the flow was the same for the Windows and a Mac. But what changed was when Apple introduced the M1 chip. Apple took a drastic change in the building the processor, and they ditched the Intel architecture, that is x86-64, and they use the ARM architecture. Okay, the ARM architecture is mainly used in our mobiles. Okay, you can see the Snapdragon is based on the ARM architecture. So with the people were considering that ARM is only for mobile and computer cannot handle it. Okay, so what Apple did was it did a drastic change and build a super fast processor with the ARM architecture. So when you use the ARM compatible JDK, it's like using the same architecture. Your JDK and processor is using the same architecture. Okay, that's why you have the performance boost.
Right, Bhaiya, yeah, yeah. That is what I was explaining. That Rosetta VM does not come into play, like because of that change in that architecture. Like when you try to kind of put something, like with a different, which are used to a different architecture, it opens a VM, and inside that VM it has to run. So it's like running your Linux subsystem system inside your Windows. Its performance reduces, right? So that
Mhm.
is the same thing for the JDK as well.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, right. So I think it will take a few years to build these projects.
few years.
Not sure. Because for my personal projects, I never use this emulator. I just use the Wi-Fi debugging. But
Right, right, right.
like I cannot easily show you my mobile screen because there is no option here.
uh,
Uh,
where there is one app called Visor that is very helpful in
uh,
Yeah,
sharing.
it
yeah.
helps mirror the application to your desktop from your
Use
phone.
screen copy. Use screen copy. Don't
Yes,
use
yes,
visor.
I do
That is
use
very
screen
Why?
copy. See, the issue is I do use screen copy from the Zen Emotion, right, Narendra?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
SRC
any motion
copy,
screen
yes,
copy.
yes, I do use that thing. And I have another option as well because on the latest Canary Electric Eel, it supports that mirroring the device by default inside the studio, but that is very buggy, and the screen copy also occupies some RAMs. Okay, that's why I'm not using it. But from the next session, we must have to try it because we cannot wait like this. Yeah, perfect. So we have the uh, UI ready. Okay, so it's not up to the expectation, but it's kind of okayish. Okay, so let's make it up to the expectation. So we are about yeah. So we have only few minutes left. So let's make this UI up to the expectation. Okay, so we have this column. So let's get this column and um, what they call arrangement arrangement the uh, uh,
Also, yeah, it would interchange the last message and the date would interchange.
yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, this is time last message. uh, hey, why was this time roll. Okay, yeah, got it. Time should be here. Thank you. So now it should be good. Okay, so now it should be good. So we have built this UI. From the next session, I will try to use the physical device to avoid this timing, and we will have a look at how to perform all these things. Okay, how to perform like click handling, uh, 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 displaying a menu when user click on this more icon, navigating to other screen, creating a floating action button, and building a settings activity. So because the thing is, this kind of project cannot be completed in a one session, right? Because it's a merely 1.5 hours, and we cannot complete building the whole WhatsApp clone. And this is even though we are building it as a row. Okay, I have not prepared anything, like it's not a polished project. I'm building everything in front of you, so it's kind of raw. So the benefit of the building row is we get to learn, and if we face any problem, we get to learn that better compared to the polished video. Okay, so this is now looks good, so better than the previous one. It's still not perfect, but in the next session we will make it perfect. Okay, so this is how it swipes to the steps. Okay. Okay, so in the chat UI, here you can see we are not emitting anything. Okay, so there is nothing displayed. Same as for the calls, nothing is displayed. So in the chat, we have emitted the lazy UI. So that's how you build build the things. Okay, I have only this much of component. If I would have more components in this, it would swipe like this. But you got the idea, right? Because we have explained the basic column in the last session. Okay, and I'm sure most of you were also practicing the compose, except these sessions, building for your personal projects or another projects. And if you have a personal project you are building in compose, do share in the group. So if it's a public repository, huh? Because if it's private then it's of noise. But if you are building it in public, do share in the group, and we will have a look, and others can learn from your project as well. I have one project completely built, two projects completely built in the uh, compose, but as of now I cannot, as I've said, I cannot make it public. uh, I will try to create another project that's based on the compose. Okay, so with this we can end this session. And one thing, in the next session, if we are getting the data from the network, I will try to explain the library, my library, as I have mentioned in the group, that is Flower. And I'm not sure if everyone have heard the message of Parrot or not, but we are going the multi-platform for the Flower library. Okay, so you can visit in any platform that Kotlin supports. Okay, so any questions on this now, or are we good to end up this session?
Uh, just one more, just to recap, do one thing of disposable side effect. Like I missed that. Like I could not understand that much.
Okay, okay. So disposable is let's say, just give me a minute. Disposable. Okay. So disposable effect is used for the things where you need to clean up some resources when your components leave the composition tree. So let's say, for example, in case of a regular programming, we use the try, catch, and finally block. Okay, so we write the necessary code in the try block, and in the finally block we write the code that must be executed uh, when the try block finish. Okay, so let's say if we are reading from a file or from a stream in the try block, we need to close that stream in the finally block. Okay, you got that right. We need to close that stream or file in the
Right,
finally block.
right, right.
Okay, so same for the UI. Let's say if you are building some UI that you need to perform some operation when it leaves the composition, you need to use the disposable effect. Let's say for example, if in the inside the disposable effect I am using an Android view. Okay, and in I'm providing a factory of the exo player. Let's say I'm building an exo player with the compose and I'm providing the exo player okay. So what I should ideally do is like I can skip it, but what I should ideally do is when the uh, okay, so when the exo player UI leaves the composition tree, I should close the player itself to clean up the resources associated with it. Okay, so in that case, I will use the disposable effect, and in the on dispose lambda block, I will use player dot close like this. Okay, so okay, so when it leaves the composition tree, it will clear the resources associated with the player class.
Right. So same for like media player, media stream instance, for example, stream dot close that we do before kind of leaving the on the basically the things we call on destroy. We will be for situations like that we will use disposable
Yes,
effect.
yes,
Right?
yes,
Am I
Just,
understanding?
yes.
just like the life cycle method on destroy, I think
Got it.
on
Got it.
disposal is similar. Yeah.
Yeah, but just okay. See the difference is don't put every code that you write inside the destroy method of the activity, because let's say this is only for the like you can consider it as for the things that is emitting the UI and leaving the UI. Okay, so let's say if you are building a game, okay, and in the on destroy method you are saving your game's code to the shared preps. Okay, so that shared preference is not doing anything with the UI. Okay, so you could write that code in the what do you say, on destroy of the life cycle. You don't need disposable effect. But the disposable effect mainly used for the components that emits the UI. You can use theoretically you can use for it for anything, but this is how I use it. Okay,
Right. Right.
One is disposable, one is side effect, and the third one was what effect? It was also
it's a
there.
launch effect. It's a launch
Launch.
effect like this. It will only
Whenever the key changes, things change. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
whenever the key changes, the computation takes place, and it also provides its own coroutine scope. Like you can see this. Okay. And I think we have another questions as well in the chat. What is that? टॉप एक बार वाला चीज भी बताना है एक बार भैया. Okay. So this side effects make sense, right, Narendra?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah. So top app bar में क्या है कि you can build so this is a composable provided by the compose that is and there are multiple variation. It's like basically overloading method. So uh, you can this is the top app bar composable, so it provides the default height. See here we are not providing any heights. Okay, but it has taken the default height of the top bar based on the material guidelines. So this is a composable provided by the compose, and inside it's a content block like this one. Content block we are building our structure. Okay, so we are counting this as a row. Okay, so this is the row. Inside we have two rows, one for this one for this one. So for the text we have this row, and having the weight equal to 1, so it will take all the space except the space required for this component. And here we have the second row having the two icon button, and that icon button itself contain icon. Okay, So icon buttons have on click events, so you can specify the events. You can specify your operations here. Okay, so this is how top app bar works. So let's say if you don't want to provide your custom content like this, you can use another variation that compose provide. Here you provide the things manually. Okay, so let's say title, modifier, navigation icon, and actions. Okay, so you can use these things also, but if you want to provide your custom things like this, let's say for let's okay so let's understand why you should use it. Okay, you can use another version as well, but why you should use it. Okay, so let's say if you use like this version. Okay, so what you provide, it's a title. Okay, and title is basically a simple string. Okay, nothing more than that, it's a simple string. But if you have seen the example of the Instagram application, it uses a custom image as its top bar, right? Like a Instagram text written in the fancy fonts. Okay, so that way you cannot use this thing. You need to provide all your contents yourself by using these things. So that is the use case for these things. You got the idea, right? Instagram and UI. Let me show you if it's possible. Okay, see this Instagram text is Instagram is it's basically, you can say it's not a text. Okay, so it's kind of image. Okay, so this, to build this top bar, you need to use this variation, because in this variation we are providing the entire content for the top bar. If you want to build a basic top bar, yeah, you can go with this way. You can go with this variation. Okay, so it's simple, right? Okay, so any more questions on this, or should we conclude this session?
I have one question
Yeah.
regarding the collapsing top bar. So how do we make like a collapsing top bar?
uh, yeah, okay, so to build the collapsing top bar, uh, two things. First, it's it's out of scope of this session, and the second thing, as of now I don't know how to build the collapsing top bar. Okay, in the compose. So like I haven't tried that things. You can build it, but I haven't tried it. So I as of now I don't have idea how to build the collapsing top bar.
Mhm. Yeah, I tried using like there is a way in Compose like you can use like a motion layout.
Mhm.
Um, it is kind of working, but I'm getting like some errors. So I'm just wondering like if you guys anyone can help me on that. But if it's not in the scope, then that should be fine.
Okay, so one thing what you could do is, if it's a public repo, you can share the repo URL in the group, and everyone can have a look. Okay, and if anyone has idea, they will try to help you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajesh. And yes, I put like a Stack Overflow question on our WeChat group. Oh, sorry, WhatsApp group.
Yeah, sure, that would be fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you everyone. In the next session we will dive deep onto building another screens, and building the navigations as well, and also handling the clicks and building the menus. Okay, so okay, so let's end this session for now. Okay, goodbye, have a good day. Bye bye.
Great session, Rajesh. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you Debayan, and thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.